Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is not your typical Tuesday, and as you can see I have this all taped down. So what are we going to do today? We're going to really go way out of my comfort zone, and we're going to paint the background before we're finished coloring. So I have put the, where is it? I have covered this with the clear texture gesso. Um, I have dried it overnight, so it should be dry. And we're going to actually paint the background and the grass. So, yeah, way out of my comfort zone. I have activated the paint. Um, yeah, I think I'm ready to make a mess. Who's ready to make a mess with me? So let's get started up here. And I've got my heat gun here as well to hopefully dry it. Now, so I'm going to do a wet on wet texture or technique. So I'm just putting some water on the areas that I'm going to be working on. For the sky at least, just because I want it to sort of spread around on its own. I'm not going to worry too much about going over the mushrooms. That's ground there, so I think the sky is pretty much done there. Okay, a little bit more water. All right, now I'm going to let's take this blue. I'm scared, guys. I'm frightened. I put a little bit more water on it. All right. I'm going to move my paints. The paints I'm using is just an inexpensive set of paints from Pagos. And I'm just going to do this. Just going to put the paint on here and then I'll spread it. So as you can see where I put the water down, it's going to be a little lighter. Just trying to get in to the edges here without going too much over top of the. Hopefully I don't make a complete mess of this picture. If I do, that's okay. We have another one. And as I get further up, just add a little bit more water. Not too worried about going over the plants because I'm going to be coloring this with the colored pencils as well. So I'm just bringing that color into the edge there. And there's some water there, so it's going to be lighter there. So in the areas that I've put the water already, of course it's going to run and be lighter. So this is way out of my comfort zone. I don't really know what I'm doing beyond putting the paint on the page. Rhea makes this look so easy. All you people that do watercolor make this look so easy. It's just not as easy as it looks. How do you guys get this to be so perfect? Okay, now we're going to take our heat gun and we're going to dry that. Area there. Just because I don't want to stick my arm in it. Sorry if that's loud. Okay, I'm going to rinse this out. And just take a bit of that water and go back in up here. And we're going to take a lighter blue this time, because this area up here is lighter. And I need a bit more water on there, I think. Trying not to go over too much of the thicker part of the plant, but the thinner part we can go over. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to rinse that off a little bit, just so we can drag some of this paint. Oh, I went over my mushroom. Oh well. Now we're just going to take some of this deeper color here and just move it around. Add a little bit more water, I think. So I hope everybody is having a good week so far. It's been, yesterday was a great day. I really enjoyed yesterday's video. I like doing the Matters Monday. I like doing those kinds of books. Alright. I'm just going to put a little bit more water on here. Spread that color out a little bit more, getting more of a watercolor effect in that sky. I want it to be a little more wishy-washy. That makes sense. Now, the only thing is this is a coloring book page. So even though I've put the gesso on it, which makes it a little bit more workable, it does still bubble and lift. So you just have to be fairly careful with where things are going. Because they will puddle. So I'm just going to take my other brush here that is fairly clean, and it's a water brush. So I'm just going to spread out some of these little puddles just to get rid of those little puddle marks there. This one here. Sometimes you can just pick it up and move it around, and sometimes you can't. Paint is a fickle, fickle creature. So I'm just going to rinse that off because I'll be using it again soon. Alright, so we need to move that so I have a place to put my arm, because now I'm going to do the other side. And once again, clean my brush, put some water down in the areas I want that to move around. I put a little bit more water down this time because I don't think I put enough last time to give me the effect that I wanted. Still being careful not to go too much over top of anything. And then we're going to pick up a little bit more of that blue. Wet the brush and just move it around. Once again, we've got a bit of a puddle there, so we'll just dab our brush and take some paper towel. I'm just going to take a little bit here and dab it up. Make sure that we don't get too much on that area that we want to color. It also helps you lessen that color a little bit. So you can tone it down a little bit by picking it up with the water, or with the paper towel, I mean. Let's lessen that up a little bit around there. I'm just going to take my paper towel and just lift some of that up. Alright. Then we're going to wet this area again. Get some of our paint. Again, I'm not too worried about going over top of the branches too much because I will be coloring those. It's more the mushrooms that I'm watching, making sure that I don't go too much over those, because those are going to be a red and we don't want too much blue in them. The branches are going to be browns and greens, which will overtake the blues. So then we're going to just do this on the edge of this mushroom. Just put a little bit more paint here. This one a little bit darker, I think. Closer to the edge of the page here. Just darken it up a little bit as we go through here. Same with down here. Okay, let's just take this, lessen that a little. And just give it a little bit of an effect. That area had a little bit too much water in it. Like so. Alright, I think I want to remove some of the paint here. Just want to make it a little bit lighter in those areas. Putting the gesso on it gives you the ability to work it a little bit more than you would have if you just did it straight on the coloring book page. Definitely want that a little lighter. Coming up under there. Fold that over, make sure that it's clean. I'm just going to take a little bit more off in certain little areas, just to lighten it up a bit. That's better. I thought it was a little too dark on that side. That's much better. We'll take a little bit more of the light blue here. Just work it in. All the way up to the tape. Just darkening that light blue area just a little bit so that it's close to the same color as the rest of the area. Not too worried about doing too bright around or too dark around the mushrooms themselves. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side here. We're going to make sure that that's rinsed off. And we're going to take a bit of water. And we're just going to put some water in the areas that we're going to put the blue. Then we're going to take that darker blue and we're going to wet our brush a lot. And we're just going to put it in. And dab it up a little. Making it darker but still looking like it's transitioning into the lighter there. has a little bit more water, so it's a little lighter, which is fine. And then we'll take a clean piece of the paper towel. I'm just going to dab, very gently dab up a little bit of that darker blue. Not overly worried about the plant because the plant is going to be in greens, so it will have a little bit of ability to be colored over. Like that. Darkening it up a little bit in the background here. Like that. Alright. Like I said, this is not something I have any sort of expertise in. This is definitely out of my wheelhouse, out of my comfort zone, in leaps and bounds. So we're going to dry that off, and then we'll maybe add another color. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe not. Yeah, I think I like it the blue. Let's just dry this all off and we'll take a look at it. And I'm just going to do the bases. The rest of it I will do in colored pencil. So this is just, I'm just putting down the background, the base of the background. Of course, all of those fine details I'll fine tune with the colored pencils. So I think that's fairly dry. Okay. Didn't wipe any off on my hand, so I think it's dry. Then we're gonna do the grass. So once again, we're just gonna put some water down. And we're gonna take a bit of this one. And we're just gonna move it in there. Gotta grab another bit of paper towel here. Just to dab up any excesses that might be going over onto the mushrooms. too concerned about the lighter color because I think it'll look good under the mushroom color, so not too worried about that. However, once I start going in with a bit of a darker green, then I'll start worrying about that sort of thing. This is just the base green color. And then we'll go over here. I didn't put any water down over here because I think I'm at the color that I kind of want it to be a solid area, not so whimsical or so much movement as I would on the sky area. With that, I wanted some movement because it's the sky. Skies have lots of movement. Grass, not so much. Not the base anyway. I'll be putting little flicks of other colors in there as well. But this gives me a little bit more control over the color and how much color is going on. So I'm going to put this in a larger area because it's got more water. I'm just going to dab it. Because I don't want it that dark. I want it a little bit lighter. And then as we get closer up, I'll darken it up a little. Trying not to cover any part of the mushrooms that I've already colored. Because I don't want them to be green. This was a last minute decision, so it wasn't something I was planning on doing with this page. I was just going through all the different things that I could do with this page that is basically out of my comfort zone for the Tuesday video. And watercolor is so far out of my comfort zone that I thought, okay, let's just go all out here and go way out of my comfort zone and see where it goes. So that's the reason, because it's not comfortable for me. I don't mind going out of the comfort zone. I don't mind learning new things or playing with new things. I seem to have more learning ability, I guess is the words I'm looking for, when I play with new things than if I just watch somebody else doing it. Watching somebody else doing it helps a lot with learning the techniques, learning what to do with what. But until you play with it and do it yourself, sometimes it can be very scary. So if you're going to play with this type of thing, like watercolor or anything that is outside of your wheelhouse, practice with it first. Take something that you don't usually do, a book that you're not overly fond of, that sort of thing, and just play with it. Just go in and add some color, move it around, lift it up, just play with it until you get to um, where you want it to be. I'll show you the picture that I played with last night because I did the same thing. I said, okay, I'm going to do this in watercolor, and I prepped this page and then I played with another page just so that I can make sure that I'm at least not making a complete disaster of a page that I don't want to be a complete disaster of. So I will show you that after we are done here with the grass. Now remember, all the major detail areas of the grass are going to be colored in with the colored pencil. So this is just the base and the base colors. So, areas that are wide open, I'll be adding paint to, but colors that are close up and whatnot, that have more detail, I will be coloring in with the paint, but I won't be overly particular about it because I will be going over that with colored pencil. Let's add a little bit more darker here. And up in some of the areas, I'm just going to put in little bits of the darker light green, and then I'll be coming through with a little bit more darker green as well. And I'm just putting it down and dabbing just to give it that texture so that when it dries, it will dry with some movement, like just a little bit of texture so that when you color it, or when I add color to it with the colored pencils, it won't be just one color of green. It'll be multiple and give that grassy kind of look. I'm just going to take a little tiny bit of this darker green too and just throw it in there and dab it up. And put some more water on my brush and on the darker green here as well. Get it off the mushroom. If you find that you have too much water in an area, just take your paper towel and dab it up. Okay, just going to wet this down. I need a little bit more here. If you find that you're reapplying the paint in different areas, just change where your paper towel is dabbing. See, I've got paint on there, so I don't want that paint to be redistributed, so I've moved where I'm dabbing from. I need more water. That's way too thick on the paint. Yeah, that's better. And you just adjust your water. You don't have to put just straight paint on the page. You can adjust the water just to give it a little bit more of that movement. So you can lift up a little bit of the water, but you have the movement of the paint itself, like so. I'm starting to like that. And I think it needs a little bit more over here. like that. Now move the paper. There we go. Now I'm going to finish this bottom area here, and then we'll take a look at it. So once again, going into that light green, making sure I got lots of water on it so that the paint doesn't get too thick. And just putting it in and moving it around. If you find it's puddling, just lift it up. And I'm just using a number 6 round brush to do this with. I really like this brush. It's a Princeton Heritage brush. I have some watercolors coming from Grabby for Watercolor Month, which will be fun to play with. Now I'm going to go a little bit darker as I move down into this area here. I am going to go over the plants because I'm not too worried about it. They are going to be green anyway. I'm just going to brighten this area here up. I've used up quite a bit of the water off of my brush, so it's given the paint a little bit thicker coverage. And I'm just going to dab it off in the areas where it's too dark. And I'm just going to throw the paintbrush on the floor. Oy. Just in case you thought I wasn't a complete klutz. I will prove you wrong. Water on there. And I think a little bit more water on there. Once again, just taking your paper towel and dabbing in areas that you don't want covered, like up into the mushroom there. Trying to make sure I get all of the greenery area done without going over top of my mushrooms. Like I said, all I'm doing is I'm just putting down the paint. If it goes over the mushroom, just dabbing it up very quickly before it dries. Just use a little bit more. Trying not to put too much water down, but still put enough down to put that color in there. Come down on this side. All the details in the grass and stuff, the moss and grass, I will finish with colored pencil. I'm just going to put a base color on it. And bring that down to the edge of the page here. I need more water. I know you guys probably can't see that very well because it is at the bottom of the camera's view, but it's just basically the same thing I did on the top there. I am going to go a little bit darker green down here at the bottom. And we'll move that this way a little bit more. Trying to make that an even color between the two areas. Just putting in some now and just dabbing it up and giving it that texture. Move that paper around a little bit. Taking some of that darker green. And we'll move over onto this area here. Like so. Make sure you keep it off of the tops of the mushrooms. A little bit more over here. And a little bit more over here. Then we'll take some dark green and put some water on it. And just put in little bits. Brush it up. Make sure that it doesn't go on the mushroom too much. With your daubing, you gotta grab another dauber. Another dauber bit. Got a whole thing of paper here, so. Because I knew I was going to need it for this. I didn't use it last night on my page, so lesson learned. I had little areas that were a little bit too much water and too much paint and overtook some things I didn't want it to. So this is taught me how to do that. Like I said, it's a learning experience. And yeah, sometimes we just learn by doing instead of by looking. I know I do. A lot of times I learn by doing, not looking. I'll watch and I'll pick up what the artist is doing that's showing, but most of the times until I absolutely put the paintbrush to the page or the pencil to the page, I have no idea what I'm doing. I know the idea behind it. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, how it should look when I'm done, But I can't guarantee that it's going to look that way because nothing I do ever does. I'm not going into the little rocky areas there because those aren't supposed to be green. And I think we've got the background down, guys. I think that looks pretty good. So we've put in the grass and we've put in the sky. And I'll see if I can get it out a little bit more so you can see it a little bit. But I'm going to dry this first. Just so I don't put my hand in it or something. I will be going through and ironing it so that I have a flat surface again. It won't be completely flat, but it will be good enough to color on again. So. Make sure it's nice and dry. And then we'll, it's pretty good. Yeah. So now I'm going to pull the tape off. Lift it up from the bottom first. And like I said, I'll take it and I'll put it between some paper towel and I will there we go. I'll put it through, between some paper towels or some cloth and flatten it out a little. There we go. Because it's going to curl. Alright, so there is our picture. So we've got the grass done and the sky done. I think there might be a little bit more up there in the sky. Let's turn this a little bit and just brush this out. See if we can get some of that moving over to the edge here. I think I under-taped it. I over-taped it. I should have moved the tape a little bit closer to the edge, but I didn't want it to pull it up where I hadn't gessoed. So. That's okay. We'll just cut that part off. No, we won't. We'll work it. We'll figure it out tomorrow on the best way to do it. But like I said, I will take my... I have a hot iron that I bought specifically to iron out and flatten out the watercolor paintings. So I will iron that and flatten it out. I'll show you the one I did last night when I was fiddling around. So I did this one last night and it taught me a little bit on what to do, what not to do. So basically, when you're going through and you're playing with things like this, and things that you're not used to using a whole lot of, I would strongly, strongly suggest that you start with a fresh page. If you're going to do it like I did over top of something you've already colored, um, make sure that you get a lot of the gesso or the golden satin glazing liquid over top of your colored areas, so that when you do use your paper towel to lift that paint off, you have something protecting your colored pencil, especially if you're going to be using the heat gun. Heat and wax don't really mix all that well, so be careful of that. But yeah, that is what I have done today. I haven't made a horrible mess of it, and we will see tomorrow how much of a mess I've made of it, when it comes to actually coloring over top of the areas that have the gesso and the paint on it. I have never done that before, so we will see how that works out. I have seen it done before, but I personally have never done it before. So we will flatten it overnight, and tomorrow during our live stream we will be coloring our mushrooms and our weeds, and hopefully tomorrow we will have this one all done, because I've already done all the hard part. I did all the hard part first, but we will be going through with some colored pencil and adding the details to the grasses and the mosses and stuff like that. So you know I'm never done. So it will still take a few days or a few colorings to get it done. So, but I might actually have the final touches to do on Thursday. Actually finish something on final touches Thursday. Amazing. Instead of, coloring it all the way through till Sunday. All right, guys. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed me using a medium that I don't ever use, media that I never use. The watercolors is something that scares me. I'm always terrified I'm going to ruin the page, and I think it turned out pretty good. So until Wednesdays, Wellness Wednesday, when we will be coming back and actually finishing up some of the mushrooms in this picture. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any video that you watch on the YouTube. That does help out all of your content creators in knowing what you like and what you don't like, so that we can adjust our streams and our videos to the popular demand. Hitting that like button also, boosts the algorithm to send people our way. Leaving me a comment just tells me that you've seen the video, that you enjoyed the video, and if you have any suggestions or any tips for me, like I said, this is not a medium that media that I ever use. If you saw that I was doing something, that can be done easier or nicer, let me know, and I will take that into consideration for the next time, because of course we will have a next time, because February, of course, is going to be water month, where everything we do is going to be in watercolor. So that should be fun. I've got a lot of different watercolors available to me. I have this set of paints. I'll close it up and show you now that I'm not painting with it. So this set of paints is 36 watercolor paint set from Pagos. This is a children's set. This was designed for children. This is not a fine art set. It is just 36 little tiny pans that I practice with, because They were inexpensive and I can practice with them. I do have an artist grade set coming from Grabby, and I will be using those. I also have some Flowwood watercolor pencils that I'll be using. I have the Indra watercolor pencils that I'll be using, as well as the set of watercolor pencils that Grabby sent me as well, that do remind me very strongly of the Obos. What else do I have in watercolor? Oh, and I have the watercolor paint brushes as well. And the ink tints. And I have quite a few watercolor things, but I'm still terrified of it. Isn't that horrible? But anyway, I will be going through flattening down this piece and getting it ready for tomorrow. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Always remember to be kind to be kind to each other, and always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Until next time, bye bye for now.